Hi there, it's Linda here. Thanks for joining me today as I play with these goodies for happy little stampers. I'll be making two cards today, and the first one is suitable for a male, and I'm using these wonderful chevron arrow stamps from the Happy Little Stampers Mix Mash stamp set. I'm doing like a double heat embossing on this card, so I forgot to use my powder bag straight up, so I've just done it in between my stamping there. And first of all, I've stamped with Versamark ink. Then I've just moved my watercolour card up. You'll see me moving it a little bit more again, probably just over 1 millimetre moved from the original position. And now I'll be stamping the exact same images again in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I'll then be using clear embossing powder, which will go straight over the Onyx Black and the Versamark inks. And of course, when I heat that up with my heat gun, you can't see the original Versamark ink that well, but when the Brusho watercolour paints go over the top, you'll have a nice little white border with the protected area on the watercolour card. So lots and lots of removable adhesive on the back of my Canson watercolour card to hold it in place because it's going to get pretty wet. A good layering of water all over the top before I start to sprinkle on the Brusho powders. And as you can see, they love to react to the water, and you can really stop at any point that you like in this process depending on what effect you're looking for. And of course for me, I was looking for a really good overall colour and mix of colours because I really want the double heat embossing to show up on the final result. So I keep adding extra powder and mixing things around and spraying to add a bit more water, and then I'm moving my craft mat just to blend and move all the colour around, and I keep going back and forth with that process until I'm really happy with the amount of colour that I've achieved. You'll see me using my pokey tool there just to make the hole in my Brusho bottle a little bit wider, so a little bit more of the powder will be released, and continuing to sprinkle on a little bit more where I feel it's needed. I allowed my Brusho piece to dry overnight, and then the next morning I grabbed a wet one or a baby wipe, and I'm just removing any of the watercolour from my heat embossed areas so that you get that nice bright white effect from the original Versamark ink. Now you'll notice that I'm cutting my Brusho painted piece in two here on the diagonal. That's just to add a different design to my masculine card, and I'm just trimming off a little bit extra there, and those two pieces will be adhered to my card front with a die cut star also to be cut from the two. That's going to allow the white card base to peek through and just add that extra stark element to my masculine card. So the next step in the process is to add some craft foam just behind the left hand portion of my brushed piece. So I've chosen black craft foam and I'm just cutting out so that it will fit nicely to that piece, and using some Ranger multi-medium matte to adhere that first of all to the brushed piece and then to my white card front. The final detail for my masculine card is going to be some blue enamel glitter dots. I hope they're boy enough, so to speak. So I'm just finding out where I want them to go before my card is finished. And here we are into card number 2, which is a female card. So I'll be using different colours of brushes, but still the same stamp set, the Mix Mash stamp set from Happy Little Stampers. And you'll see I've chosen all the circular stamps for this card, and I'm using Versamark ink because I will be heat embossing with there it is, Ranger Bridal Tinsel Embossing Powder, which is a beautiful glittery powder, and I will be using that over all of the circle stamps from the Mix Mash stamp set. As I stamp all my little circle images, you'll notice them taking shape on my card front. Plenty of circles towards the top, and then they start to sort of scatter out down the card more towards the right hand side. That was the look I was going for. Once I'm happy with the placement of all my stamped circles, I'm heat embossing them all before I then begin to cover the card front with the Brusho colours I've chosen. This time I'm leaving the card front dry, no water added yet, and I'm sprinkling on purple first, followed by scarlet, and then you'll see me adding water with the little mini mister you can see off to the side there. So this time it's a very different look that I'm going for, and I'm just adding sprays of water and spreading the colour more gently than I did for the masculine card. And slowly I build up to the result you see here. This is a wet one I'm using just to wipe off the colour that is lying or has accumulated on top of my heat embossed circles. And then it's time to add a few VersaFine Onyx black details for a sentiment on my card. So again, the final element that I'm adding to my card are these gorgeous enamel glitter dots, and as I add them, I'm keeping a visual triangle in mind. So I'm adding 2 or 3 dots where the points of the triangle would lie on my card front, because that's more pleasing to the eye and it moves the eye across the card base.